All right, perfect. We are now live. If you are logging on, let me know. Drop a note in the comments. I'm just going to go ahead and get the feed out. Do me a favor, like and share, and let me know what market should we look at today. What market should we look at today? Last week we looked at, I believe it was St. Louis, Missouri. The week before that, I believe it was Huntsville, Alabama. We've looked at Apex, North Carolina. We've looked at quite a few places already. It's hard to believe. The year is going by quick. But let me know what market we should take a look at today. I know we've had a request for Columbus, so we might take it back to Ohio. We've already done Cleveland. Cleveland actually deserves a part two because we didn't quite get through it all. We definitely will make our way to Cincinnati at some point. But just let me know you're watching. I'm going to finish up getting the video out there, the video feed, and we'll get started in a couple minutes. The challenge for me tonight is going to be to hold in my sneezing. My wife is cooking, and it's got me going. Seasoning's got me going. All right, come on. All right, keep it moving, keep it moving. Just a couple more groups. Again, just let me know what market we should check out this week. All right, let's get out the date. And while I'm getting everything set up, definitely make sure you tap in tomorrow for Wealth Talk Tuesdays. We're gonna have a great interview tomorrow with MJ Burst. MJ is a marketing expert and a marketing professional, but she's also a real estate investor, and she owns several multifamily properties. And she's just gonna talk to us about her experience, at least touch on. She's gonna give us. We actually got her coming back to talk a couple times, but tomorrow with Wealth Talk Tuesdays, we'll talk a little bit about what she does and touch on a little bit on her investing experience. And she actually started her investing journey through house hacking. So if you're interested in hearing a little bit about house hacking and how to do that to acquire, certainly tap in tomorrow for Wealth Talk Tuesdays. This Wednesday, we also have our monthly meetup. We're going to have Mavi back on. This time, she's going to give us a more in depth presentation on infinity banking. That's going to be this Wednesday, actually, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just check out my page or my fan page for the information. On Thursday, we actually have our first mastermind call. That is going to be at 5 a.m. in the morning. The mastermind call is multifamily specific, and every week we'll hop on. And right now it's Thursday at 5 a.m. And then I'm working on one more thing. I think I'm gonna start a deal review session where all we do is look at deals, and I'm planning to start that on Sundays. So keep an eye out for that. I'll probably start that within the next 2 weeks or so. But all of that information is on my Facebook. Also, take a second to join the Multifamily Investors Collective, where you can stay connected and get a lot of the information. And more importantly, connect with other people who are trying to accomplish the same things that you're trying to accomplish. And we got a lot of stuff planned for the group. So definitely make sure you tap in. So we are actually good to go. Just finish that up for the group. So all right. So definitely make sure you tap in. Okay, so I'm watching the comments. I get my phone set up on a tripod. I am watching the comments. So let me know where we should look at this week. Again, last week we were looking at St. Louis, Missouri. This week we are going to look at wherever you guys tell me. If nobody tells me, lets me know in the comments, then we'll hop over to Columbus, Ohio. Got a lot of connections in Columbus actually. Spent a lot of time in Columbus, having a good time in college, of course. And but yeah, we'll hop out to Columbus and see how things are looking in Columbus. Columbus, Ohio, that is. Okay, all right, we are ready to go. So, welcome to another edition of Market Watch Mondays. Market Watch Mondays is essentially every single Monday. What we're doing this year is we're taking a look at a different real estate market, and we're looking at that market specifically from an investing standpoint and specifically from a multifamily standpoint. And the goal is to learn more about all of the different markets around the country, to find out what's going on in the market. Is the population growing? Is it decreasing? Are the jobs increasing? Are the jobs decreasing? What type of employment mix does this particular market have? And what do the economics look like? What is the average household price or the average income or the average age? Looking at all these different data points so that we can become more familiar with the markets and look for potential opportunities where we may want to work or particularly invest at some point in the future. So that's what Market Watch Mondays is. If you are just logging on, thanks for logging on. I appreciate you for taking some time out of your busy day, out of your busy week to actually sit down and just do some research with me. Definitely make sure that you like and share the video, and then do me a favor and take some time to like my fan page, and also request to join the Multifamily Investors Collective. It's a private Facebook community of multifamily real estate investors, and the whole goal of the community is to build up a like-minded group of individuals who are trying to accomplish the same things. So of course we got a lot of stuff going on. I mentioned Wealth Talk Tuesdays tomorrow. Every Wednesday we drop a multifamily investors newsletter. You can sign up for that. Starting this Thursday, we have our mastermind call that'll be starting. And then not this Sunday, but probably next Sunday, I'm going to start a deal review session where every Sunday we look at deals and we actually get into the nuts and bolts of analyzing those deals and trying to get to that point where we can make an investment decision as far as whether to move forward with that decision or that investment, or at least offering on that investment, or whether we shouldn't. And then if so, trying to figure out what type of offer amount we would come together for to actually make an offer on that property. But anyway, with that said, I am going to, let me pull up my Zoom. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Pull up a couple things first. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. So let me, all right, cool. We'll do Google, get my screen set up. We'll do a share screen. And this is not what I want. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, so doing a share screen. Now let me know. I can see in the comments. So just let me know in the comments if you have an idea for where you want us to go. And let me know also that you tapped in. I can't, Facebook doesn't really tell you like who's online unless people comment. So unless you comment right now, I may think I'm only talking to myself, but I see we got a couple eyes looking, so we'll keep it moving. And with that said, I don't see anything. So let's jump into Columbus, Ohio. And just start off with a general map. So if you've never been to Columbus, Ohio, if you've never been to Ohio, I just want to give you a contextual. Hey, Nikki, I see you. Give you a contextual on what Ohio looks like. And Ohio is actually the capital city of, or not Ohio, but Columbus is actually the capital city of Ohio. All right, so here we go. Pulling that map up. And then I'm going to pull up. And Columbus is actually a pretty sizable market. I haven't looked at it in a while, but as far as multifamily investing, it also is the um, let's see, multifamily CBRE report. It's also the biggest investment market for multifamily out of the three major cities in Ohio, and I think it's actually double the size of the Cincinnati investment market. I think last time I looked, it's probably been a year since I looked at Columbus in detail, but I think they were doing like 500 million, 600 million in multifamily sales per year. All right, so investment properties Cincinnati, investment properties Columbus. All right, I should have just clicked market report. Let's see, Columbus multifamily, Columbus multifamily market report. I believe it was around 500 million, and I think the Cincinnati market was around 150, 200 million. I think I could be wrong, but I think that's what it was. So let's just take a look. Multi-housing news. All right, so Columbus's multifamily market has remained resilient. And this is December 2nd, 2020 from Multi-Housing News. And they do a good job of publishing a lot of the market data. And their data comes specifically from Yardi as opposed to like a report from CBRE. A lot of times CBRE data is built on CBRE data or some other data source, but multi-housing news, they use a lot of information from Yardi. So showing the market is showing that it has remained resilient in the face of economic and financial volatility. Let's see, rents as recently as September, rents had risen 0.3%, which is good. See, employment gains started to decelerate at the beginning of last year. By July of 2020, the health crisis had cost the metro more than 98,000 jobs, accounting for a 6.8% year over year workforce contraction. And let's see, following an initial shock, Columbus avoided more severe effects of the COVID-19 outbreak due to its lower population density, favorable cost of living metrics, and diversified economy. Let's see, in 2020 through September, 2,837 units came online and more than 154 million in multifamily assets traded across Columbus. Yep, that's a 300% drop compared to the same interval last year. So it wasn't a 500 million, it was around 300 million, but I think, all right, let's pull up this chart. All right, so Columbus sales volume and number of properties sold as of September of 2020. So again, 2019, we talked about this before. 2019 was actually a record year for multifamily transactions. At that point, 2019, it was around 600 million. And let's see, 2014 was the previous high. That looks like it was around 700 million. So yeah, it was around somewhere between 5 and 600 million. And then yeah, volume in millions. And then you can see in 2020, there was a significant drop from 2019. I mean, looking at this chart, and this doesn't include the Q4 data, which may have pushed this up a little bit, but by the looks of it, you can tell that sales volume had dropped at least at least 50%. If you're talking from 60 million in 2019 to less than 20 million in 2020, that's a significant drop. And all of that being attributable, attributable to most likely just COVID altogether, and not anything that has to do with supply and demand. All right, let's see. Columbus market rent versus the national market rent. Again, this was up until September. Let's see. Columbus is in the light blue line, and the national number is in the dark blue line. So as you can see, actually, the Columbus market, and this probably had to do with maybe supply. I mean, less than 3,000 units came online last year, so that's not a lot. But trying to keep that in context with the size of Columbus. But either way, the rent growth was steady, as has been at least for the last well, yeah, a little bit, year and a half. It's been higher than the national average, and it carried that through until September, most likely probably through to the end of the year. So just on initial data, Columbus is looking good. As far as the average rent in Columbus, it was $1,000, $1,018 compared to the U.S. average, which was 1,463. So significantly lower than the national average. And having grown up in Ohio, Ohio's the cost of living in Ohio has been, traditionally is a very good place in terms of the cost of living, and Columbus is just a hundred or 100 miles north of Cincinnati. So, and again, it's a dense population, so they have a lot of land in Ohio, and you have that ability to spread out. You don't have to go up. There's plenty of land for you to spread out, which and to build on, which certainly can help with keeping prices low, because you can the demand on land price is not as significant as it could be in other places. All right, so let's go back and let's actually look at some data for Columbus in terms of population. All right, and I'll go to Wikipedia on this. Wikipedia is actually a good resource, and especially when you can verify or at least see where they're citing their data from. They, as far as population, they usually are citing the U.S. Census. So checking out the information on the left, or excuse me, right hand side, United States, Delaware. So the counties that make up Columbus are Delaware, Fairfield, and Franklin. It was settled on February 14th, 1812, and incorporated on February 10th, 1816, named for Christopher Columbus. The current mayor is Andrew Ginther. Let's see if we can. I don't want to go to a separate page, but we'll check out the city council. The city council is made up of members. And actually, I don't think he's in. I don't know. Is he Andrew Ginther? I have to check. I don't think he's the current mayor, but I'll double check on that. All right, so let's see. Population. This is as of 2010, so this data is actually quite outdated. But at that time, well, here's a 2019 estimate. So this is cool. 2019 estimate of 898,553. Let's see, urban. It looks like the metro area has about 2.4 million people. So it's pretty sizable. It's a large city. 800. It's actually the city of Columbus is smaller than the county I live in, but still for a city that's pretty sizable outside of your major cities like New York and Atlanta and stuff. And then the metro area is pretty large. So let's check out Columbus City Council. West Broad Street. It's so funny, man. It's crazy how life is, because I remember I remember driving up to Columbus for parties and having a good time. And actually, I remember the very first conversation, not the very first conversation, but I think one of the first times I really articulated anything about multifamily was actually in Columbus. I remember I was talking with one of my buddies, and we were just talking about real estate, and I had mentioned, I was like, man, somebody has to own, all of these apartment buildings. And at the time when I said it, I wasn't even thinking about investing in multifamily like that. I wasn't. I was so fresh and new to just this idea of real estate altogether. It never dawned on me, and that comment was probably, let's see, 15 years ago, 14 years ago, I guess. It never dawned on me that I'd be looking at the city right now, trying to, just analyze it and see if it's a good investment market for multifamily, and if it's a good market for you to build up a sizable investment portfolio. So it's just crazy how time changes. All right, so let's look at the city council and take a look at the mayor. Okay, looks like Ginther is still the mayor. All right, so yep, Mayor Ginther, Mayor of Columbus. Under the leadership of Mayor Ginther, the city of Columbus was named America's Opportunity City. And as mayor, Andrew Ginther will continue to work with labor, business, faith, and community leaders to promote opportunities for every person in every neighborhood. So overall, Columbus is actually a good city. A lot of folks I know and went to school with down in Cincinnati moved up to Columbus and have created in it, and have created a life in Columbus. Columbus does have some issues with its police force and community relations, but that's not something to hold against the city, as there obviously are a lot of locations around the country that are dealing with the same challenges. So let's check out the city council. You got council president. And if you remember a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the makeup of councils and how some councils may have council members. I think when we were looking at Little Rock, Arkansas, I think, yeah, it was Little Rock, Arkansas, they don't have council members, but they have board of directors, I believe, or board members is how they refer to them. But in Columbus, they have council members. You have a council president pro tempore, and let's see how many members of council. You have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Looks like seven members of council. And actually, Shayla Favor, it's a small world. She is actually the wife of a friend of mine who used to do some graphic design work for me back in college. And he does a lot of stuff in the art community, but his wife got elected back in, let's see, she was actually appointed, not elected. She was appointed to fill the unexpired term of newly elected Franklin County Court of Pleas Judge 2019. So, yep, a small world. So she's on council. You got a 7-member council. You got the city clerk's office. And then, of course, we have different commissions and things like that. So let's take a look at 727. And actually, I believe Marcus and Millichap has an office, but I think I know they have an office in Cincinnati, but I'm not sure if the Cincinnati office covers Columbus. But let's just take a look at Marcus and Millichap. I've spoken to some brokers from there that cover, excuse me, that cover Ohio and Cincinnati in particular. But let's take a look at Marcus and Millichap. All right, so let's see what kind of information. All right, so we got connect with our team. Grant Fitzgerald is the associate regional manager. The Columbus office provides real estate investment sales, research information, and advisory services for multifamily retail office, single tenant net lease, self storage, senior housing, manufactured homes, hospitality, land, and special assets. Marks and Millichap Capital Corporation loan originator also offers commercial real estate financing services. Columbus agents leverage the firm's national marketing platform to provide real estate investors with access to the industry's largest inventory of deliverable commercial property, as well as the largest pool of qualified private and institutional buyers and sellers. Investment specialists conduct business within the Columbus, MSA, Ohio, and Midwest. And they give us a list of their Columbus agents and originators. And we'll definitely pull up a market report and see what the per unit cost is for a larger scale multifamily unit. And actually, I'll pull up some residential ones too, so we can take a look at those. All right, so let's see. It looks like they have about 25 advisors working out at the Columbus office. And as we scroll down, gives us a good idea. They got a mix of self storage and industrial, senior senior housing, net lease, office, industrial financing, retail. So depending on, let's see if anyone has a multifamily label. And one thing I like to do too, when you find, when you're looking at brokers, and it's always good too to take a look at, just to look at their trajectory and to see what their trajectory has been. Actually, here, Perfect Apartments, Matthew Drain. All right, so he handles apartments. Let's see. Okay, so Matthew Drain is the first vice president of investments, focused on exclusively representing buyers and sellers of investment properties throughout the Columbus MSA and Central Ohio. Drain is partnered with the Barron Berkins Wintermute Group of Marks and Millichap and IPA. He and his team, led by Michael Barron, Daniel Berkins, and Joshua Wintermute, have sold over 50,000 units across 14 states, totaling over 2.55 billion. For over 7 years, he has directly and indirectly advised hundreds of clients regarding their various commercial real estate needs. He joined Marcus and Millichap as an investment sales associate in 2012. He was promoted to senior associate in 2015. Prior to joining the management team in 2016, he was a top producing agent in the Washington, D.C. office. He specialized in multifamily investments and significantly contributed to the office's reputation as a dominant broker of multifamily assets throughout the Mid-Atlantic, specifically Hampton Roads, Virginia. Prior to joining Marcus and Millichap, Drain contributed to the growth of several organizations, including 2 Fortune 500 companies. Over the years, he has developed an impressive track record of closing multi-million-dollar transactions and managing client relationships throughout the US, the Middle East, and Europe. Matthew Drain holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Marketing from Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and an MBA from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. He is a licensed real estate salesperson in Ohio, the Commonwealth of Virginia, District of Columbia, and Maryland. All right, so he specializes in apartments. So if you're looking for a broker, you could obviously go directly to the broker's website and look and see who they have, or you could also go to LoopNet and see what brokers are listed in LoopNet. So we'll hop over to LoopNet real quick and check out a couple things. I didn't mean to go back. It's 7:33. We always like to finish by 8 o'clock. So we'll hop over to LoopNet. We'll just take a look see what other brokers. One thing I like to see too is how many brokers. And again, although LoopNet isn't comprehensive, it doesn't list every broker. Still gives you an idea of how many brokers are operating in that particular area. Because if they are, if they're, if they're active in the space, they most likely, and they're active right now in terms of representing people, then they're most likely going to have a profile on LoopNet, or at least their brokerage is. So let's see. So to give you some context, if you look in a market like Atlanta and you pull up brokers, it's going to give you back like 50 pages of brokers. All right, so let's see. Here we have about 11 pages. And even though we put in multifamily as the asset class that we're looking for brokers in, a lot of times the brokers will select multiple asset classes. So you still have to go through the broker list, and as you're looking at the brokers and you're pulling up their profiles, you still have to check and see, do they actually do representation and do deals in a multifamily space, or are they just listing multifamily as part of their service offerings, which is their more related to the brokers that they work for, as opposed to just them as a service provider. So again, what I like to do, I just like to go through here again, pull contact information, create your contact list for brokers in that particular market. You can also gain a lot of insight and information on different resources that may be in the local market, because a lot of times in their bios, they may mention different affiliations, different organizations that they're involved with. And by reading their bios, you may find out about an apartment association or something like that, or some type of organization that may have an impact, not necessarily have an impact, but give you a lead on how to connect further with within the multifamily community. So he doesn't have a bio written, he's just got a couple things listed. But looking at bios is a good way to find out about just anything really. I mean, you may find out, like I found out, especially when you're entering a new market, reading those bios, you just find out about these, different organizations that are specific and particular to that particular market. And again, that may be multifamily focused. And as you dig deeper into multifamily, and particularly, we're really talking about from a larger scale perspective, where we're going in and our goal is to build a large portfolio over time. You understand the importance of networking, and you understand the importance of lead generation and figuring out where the deals, how you're going to get connected to the deals and things like that. It's definitely imperative that you are familiar with all of the organizations that are local and that are involved in the commercial space, because you are going to want to find a way to, that's a relevant relative term, but to contextualize that, when you look at larger firms that own 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 units or more, they basically stretch out their investment strategy across multiple states. And that may be across 10 states, it may be across 14 states, it may be across 15 states and 22 cities. And in each of these locations, they may own anywhere between 800 to 1,500 or 800 to 2,000 units. And in some of the markets where they're really heavily focused, they may own 3 to 5,000 units in that particular market. So if you're heavily invested in a market like that, then obviously you want to be and will need to be heavily connected. So my approach and the way I look at it is, if they work in the multifamily space in any capacity, they should at least know who I am, right? I at least should know who they are, and should be able to reach out to them or and have the contact information to reach out to them if I need to. But essentially, the more people who know you and the more people you can keep in touch with, the more opportunity that you'll be able to uncover as you build those relationships over time. And as you build your company, it doesn't necessarily have to be you who builds and maintains those relationships, but nonetheless the database for the company and the database that the company owns should have a good list of all of the people and the organizations that are involved in the multifamily and apartment community in that particular market. Okay, so I was just kind of bouncing around, kind of lost my focus as I was talking a bit. But so as you can see, there were 11 pages of brokers. Again, you got to go through and see who's actually participating in multifamily. And then a good example of brokers not always being on LoopNet. If you look at back on the list of brokers that we looked at from Marcus and Millichap, I noticed that a number of those people were not listed on LoopNet. So it's just a prime example. Sometimes you have to go directly to a company's website in order to find out who the brokers are and what their contact information is. And while at the same time, you can cross reference and cross correlate that information with what you can find on LoopNet. All right, so we're going to go up to Columbus and get out of Cincinnati. And what we're going to look for now, we'll pull up a deal, but what I'm interested in finding out is what is the per unit cost for a large scale multifamily property. And I actually want to hop on Redfin. One of the things I've been working on is as I'm doing this, I know I'm talking to multifamily investors at all different levels who are interested in the different levels. So you could be a multifamily investor and only focused on a 2 to 4 family space, or you could be a multifamily investor who's focused on a 2 to 4 family space, but your goal is to grow to a higher level. So wherever you stand on that pendulum, I want to try to cover information from both sides. So from a deal standpoint, if you're in that 2 to family space, you can use websites like Zillow and Trulia and Redfin. Okay. So we selected multifamily on Columbus. And there are actually a lot of auctions that are happening right now. A lot of auctions, which I think is representative of where we are in the market as we navigate through COVID. Okay, beautiful. So we'll pull this one up. I'm just going to scroll down. We got a lot of different opportunities. Another thing too in Columbus, you'll see a lot of Class A office space. I think that's representative of the city growing and developing and not having a huge base in terms of multifamily properties as compared to like Cincinnati. But I could be wrong. But nonetheless, you do have a lot of Class A development in Columbus. So here's a 70 unit being offered at 2.95 million with a 7.79% cap rate, which I wonder if this property is even still available or if they're just leaving it on, yeah, it's under contract. So anyway, this is actually a great price at 42,143 a unit. And it makes me wonder if there was some distress on this property as a net operating income based on what they tell us. Net operating income of 229,000. They didn't give us any other information. There's no operating memorandum, but let's just check out what was going on with this particular property. The North Linden apartment portfolio, so most be multiple properties, consists of 71 bedroom, 1 bath rental units in the highly desirable North Linden, Clinton Township market of Columbus, Ohio. Well situated along Cleveland Avenue with daily traffic counts exceeding 22,000 vehicles per day. This community has great walkability ratings and easy access to transportation and jobs. The portfolio consists of four brick buildings at three locations, all about a block from each other on Cleveland Avenue in the Clinton Township of the city of Columbus. These properties are within walking distance to groceries, restaurants, and sit on the city's CODA busing system for easy access to nearby destinations, such as the East End Shopping and Entertainment District, the Ohio State University, and downtown. Current and former owners have made significant capital improvements to the properties, including parking areas, mechanicals, HVAC, updated interiors, lighting, and more. Again, and we don't have much financials, but let's take a look at some of the pictures. It looks like it was well maintained, as they said. The units look good, very clean. And this is about representative of what you would find. This is a Class C property, apartment grade counters, apartment grade cabinets, apartment grade appliances, clean, fresh carpet. Looks like towels, a little outdated, closet space. So it's a pretty good, pretty clean unit. Now at 42,000, less than, yeah, 42,000 a unit, that's actually an excellent price. One thing I like about Ohio, the per unit costs can get pretty low, and 45,000 is not unheard of. So let's check out this 78 unit. And we got 15 minutes left. All right. This one looks like it's a Class A building and located in an opportunity zone being offered for sale. New construction Class A asset with exceptional finishes. It has a 15-year, 100% real estate tax abatement located directly in the path of progress. And this is actually listed by Capstone. So Capstone is actually a really phenomenal real estate brokerage and it's privately owned. And they have, I think they started around 2008, 2009, and they have just been on a tear in terms of growth. And it's actually exciting to watch that company grow. They have several locations around the Midwest and the Southeast, I believe. And they actually just expanded out west with the office in Denver. But one of the things I know for sure with them, and as you can see, they don't have an offer price on here. A lot of times they don't put an offer price on their properties. They do an excellent job with the marketing. They have a very large distribution list of potential buyers. I think their buyers list is email distribution list is around 40,000 people, 45,000 people. And they do an excellent job with marketing, but a lot of times they don't put a price on their listings. So their strategy is to let the market determine what this particular property is worth. So anyway, looking at this asset, as you can see, Class A, you can tell the difference between a Class A and a Class C property is tremendous. The finishes are absolutely, there's a major difference between the finishes. And then also just the age of the property. This property was built within the last year or two. You can see the amenities. And we have a lot of information on the property. But let's see when it was actually built in 2019. So the occupancy is actually not pretty low, but it's under stabilized. It's at 86%. Uh, Depending on what type of investing you're doing, you want to see a 90% or above. But that 86% represents a good opportunity for you to raise the rents, or not raise the rents, but raise the occupancy. And then depending on where this property is located and who is actually renting here, I don't know if the target market to some degree it may have been college students, but with COVID and college students being on campus and things, I'm sure there was a downtick in either enrollment or on-campus attendance at the Ohio State University, which may have or could have impacted the residency here. But nonetheless, 86%, there's still room for growth. And by raising that occupancy, you can create a significant amount of value. So let's hop over to Redfin. We didn't get a per unit cost for that property, but I will guess that, let's see if there's another Class A property. I would guess that that Class A property is probably going to be at least 120 per unit. Let's see if we can find something else. All right, here's another one, 110 units. This looks like it's Class A. Just want to try to catch a per unit cost real quick for a Class A versus Class C. This one is in East Village. This one is under contract, actually built in 2010, so not that brand new, but we don't have a per unit cost on that. So we'll keep it moving. I'll try to finish with a take a look at a market report. All right, Columbus, Ohio. I tell you, my wife cooked and it smells good. I cannot wait. I'm about to grub. All right, so let's do this while we're Columbus multifamily market report. All right, let's see. Columbus, that's Q1 2019. Market data, real page analytics 2021. July 9th of 2020. Columbus office insight from Jones Lang LaSalle. Q2 multifamily Ohio report Colliers. So let's see, this has 2021 on a real page. Timely data is important. All right, Columbus outranks other Midwest apartment markets. All right, perfect. Let's see. Can we access this information without needing to log in or anything? You're so silly. All right. All right, so let's see. This is from 2019, April 9th of 2019. That's not gonna do us any good. It'll give us some perspective. Let me just link down. All right. No information on Class A per unit is what I was interested in. So I'm not gonna waste too much time here. We'll go to the other article they have, see what date that is. And actually, if you're interested in Columbus, I've got a Facebook connect. Hey, what's up, Dwayne? I've got a Facebook connection, Matt Engel. Matt Engel and his partner, they run a multifamily meetup out of Columbus, and they're focused on the Columbus to Dayton corridors. But they run a good multifamily meetup. And this one is dated 2017. So this information is outdated. All right, let's jump over to Redfin and we'll finish with just taking a look at the 2 to 4 unit space. And the thing with the 2 to 4 unit space too is you're often paying you're often paying a pretty high per unit cost as compared to if you were to go on a larger property. So the trade-off is the smaller property is more doable from an individual investment standpoint, but then shortly over time you realize that in order to scale you got to go bigger. But to go bigger you get a better cost per unit, but it's going to be a larger transaction and different dynamics in terms of the management. All right, so we'll let this come up. Choose our property type. Choose our multifamily. I didn't mean to do that. All right, perfect. So All right, so multifamily. See what pops up. And before we finish up, just a reminder, tomorrow we have Wealth Talk Tuesdays. We'll be live again at 7 p.m. And we're sitting down with MJ Burse, who's a marketing expert, marketing professional, as well as a real estate investor. She owns several multifamily properties and she got started in multifamily through house hacking. On Wednesday, we have our multifamily e-newsletter that goes out. Just send me a message. I'll post a link for the newsletter to sign up in the video once we're done. On Thursday, we're starting our multifamily mastermind call every Thursday at 5 a.m. Also, I'll be starting a deal review session, same like this. I think we'll do it on Sundays, and we'll just take a look at deals and analyze deals and go through the practice and the rehearsal of analyzing deals. If you can't analyze deals, then you cannot make an informed investment decision. So, looking at Columbus, these are all multifamily properties. As you can see, you have a lot of duplexes. And if you look at the prices for these duplexes, this looks like it's a duplex for 635,000. This is in the heart of downtown Columbus. You have another duplex. This one is at 285. This is west of downtown Columbus. Here's one, a duplex at 125. So again, as I said, that per unit cost is going to be significantly different. And actually, I'm going to sort this from low to high. And there's only 33 listings on here, so very tight market from a residential standpoint. But also just because I think Cincinnati is not Cincinnati, but Columbus. I think Columbus is predominantly more single families than multifamily. So looking at low to high, the lowest listing price listing on here is 85,000, which I'm gonna take a look at that. And the highest price is, I went too far down. The highest price is 1.595 million, which may be a larger property because sometimes what happens is these agents will, they don't have access to LoopNet and they don't do larger deals, multifamily deals like that. And so they'll put a larger multifamily property or a larger deal that probably shouldn't be on Redfin. They'll put that on Redfin instead of putting it on LoopNet. But nonetheless, it looks like over $1 million is the highest. And a lot of times too, what'll happen is they'll put portfolios on here. So it may be a portfolio of 3 or 4 or 5 2 to 4 unit properties being sold at the same time. And so that's why you have that higher dollar amount at over 1 million because it's actually a portfolio of properties and not just a single one. But let's scroll back up. We'll take a look at the cheapest one they have on here at 85,000. It looks like it needed some work, which is actually good. You get it at a discount and you put some work in. Let's just take a look at what this looks like and we'll finish up here. Hey, no problem, Dwayne. And that's why I always leave them up too. So even if you can't make it, you can definitely log on. And you're a part of the Multifamily Investors Collective. So as far as the mastermind calls will be posted in the collective. So even if you can't make that, it's okay. But nonetheless, the information is here, and it's a long haul. So I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. But I appreciate you for logging on too, man. Actually, Dwayne, I think I saw you. You had signed up for Brad Sumrock's training, which was good. I was on last week. I like Brad and his wife. They have great energy and obviously very experienced. So looking at this one, this actually looks like it's totally vacant. So if you were to buy this, you obviously would have to do some work and put. It may have tenants in it though. Put some residents in the property, but this is where 85,000 to get you in Columbus, it appears. And this is wood frame. So Looks like it's time for everybody to eat. All right, so open house by appointment only. This was back in December, so this has been on the market for a while. December 19th, 2:30 to 3:30. Looking to get into multifamily. This duplex is a great entry level property. She might not be pretty, but she's cheap. One unit occupied with long term tenant, paying under market rent of 500. Plenty of room to make improvements and raise rents, or just leave the tenant and collect your rent. Rents in this area average 750 a month for a one bedroom. So at 750 a month, you probably need to clean that up quite a bit. But nonetheless, 85,000 you can get in. You have 500 a month resident, and then depending on how you buy, you can move in yourself, or you could put another resident in there. And then also you have some challenges there with the rent being under market value. So you have some strategies that you can employ there. But nonetheless, that's it for Columbus, the Columbus market. Again, I appreciate you all for logging on. I am going to eat my dinner with my family and call it a night. But I got a few things I got to do, and then we have tomorrow. Looking forward to tomorrow's conversation. But again, that's it for Columbus. And thanks again for logging on. You all have a good night. Have a great night. And have a great week if I don't get with you the rest of the week, or if I don't see you the rest of the week. So have a good night.